Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to our Unhooked playlist. So this week we're doing another spin-off of our fundamentals playlist where we broke down all the basic moves in unhooked kiteboarding, and we're doing two spin-offs. We're doing the intermediate list and the park style playlist, and this week I wanted to cover the most basic park video, and that is how to 50-50 a feature. And this is kind of that first trick that you're gonna try. It's super basic. I guess a lot of the same skills kind of apply whether you're hitting a kicker or hitting a rail, but in this particular video we're just going to cover hitting a rail. Right foot forward and left foot forward, and all the basic things that you need to know in order to do this safely. So park style kiteboarding is one of the most misunderstood facets of our sport, and simply put, it's because we're so early on in the game and it may never come to fruition. But it is kind of harder to find kite parks. It is a bit more work to build your own features, whether you can set them up or store them. But if you do have a chance to try it, it is one of the most fun parts of kiteboarding, in my opinion. And even if you're never going to try it, at the very least you can enjoy this video and come to understand what the riders are doing. So when you are watching some of the KPL events or just watching rider lifestyle edits, you'll know what they're doing. You'll have a better idea of what the difficulty of the trick that they're doing, and just more appreciation for this really unique discipline in our sport. So one final note on this playlist, do this at your own risk. So I will say, with the other playlists where I'm covering freestyle, you're just dealing with the water. Once you involve solid objects in kiteboarding, the risk factor goes way up. For this first video, we're just gonna cover the 50-50. And this actually comes from skateboarding, where the board is grinding on the two trucks flat, going along with the rail. So we've got a lot to cover on this one. Let's get to it. Alright guys, don't forget to click the eye icon where I break this trick down in way more detail in the written steps and a kind of a step-by-step guide on how to hit your first feature and do a 50-50. So when it comes to park riding, safety is a concern. So the first thing you want to do is go inspect the feature. Go and see how deep the water is around it, see if there's any obstacles in the water. Just do a general good inspection of the area and make sure that it's safe to fall into the water. Next, what you want to do is you want to spray the feature down. So it doesn't matter what you're grinding, whether it's some of the plastic features that you might see in hood or something that you built yourself. You do want to come by and just do a good quick spray down of the feature to get water on every part of it. And then just make sure that you have no sand, nothing on your board, nothing on your butt, because you're probably going to fall. And you just don't want to have any debris on that slider while you're hitting it, because you're going to stick if you do. As far as like prerequisites, I would say you should have all of the fundamental unhook moves dialed, and I really highly recommend having some experience riding cable where you're confident already hitting features in a more controlled environment. So step one on this is getting lined up with the feature, and what you want to do is you want to ride upwind. And if you're with a group of people, just get kind of a circuit going, stay out of people's way, go with the flow. Don't ride upwind of the feature, creating chop or getting people's way when they're going in for a line to hit something. Just be really considerate and go with the flow of all the other riders in the park. And take a really big long tack upwind and then cut back towards the feature. You want to get your kite lined up first. Just come in with like a medium edge. So when it comes to unhooking for this, it is different than a freestyle trick. You are going to keep a very mild edge, come slightly off your edge to unhook, and then re-engage that edge very gently just to kind of lock the kite in so that you have good control. And you're now going mostly downwind, but with a medium edge towards the feature. You'll get a feel for where the kite's going to be as it's pulling you across. And as you approach the feature, take your back hand off, split the bar with your front hand, and then do an ollie onto the feature, or even just ride right up the safety if there is a safety rail on that feature. And for the ollie, it's just like doing a half-loaded pop, but way less intense because you're going almost straight downwind. So just like a skateboard, you push down on your back foot, lift up on your front leg, and just pop out of the water. And then from here, the body is gonna go where you look. So if you look to the left or the right of the feature, you're gonna go off in that direction. If you keep your eyes at the end of the feature, you're gonna go that way. Some other things to consider is you want the board to be flat. So you don't want to edge on the rail like you would on the water. You want the board to be flat and with your weight even kind of stacked over your knees, directly over your ankles on the board for that first hit. And later we'll talk about doing presses and switch ups and different things that you can do with your body. But for that first initial hit, you're just gonna go straight across with your body even over the board. Some really big tips while you're on the feature is you need to keep that bar close. And the natural tendency of everybody the first time they hit a rail is they usually let their arm get way away from them. And what happens is this changes your center of gravity from right here to somewhere out here, and it's almost impossible to do anything. Kind of like when you're doing a freestyle trick, once you let the bar get away from you, you lose all that control. So you want to keep that bar low and close to your lead hip, and this will actually come into play later when you start spinning on the rail, spinning off the rail, whatever it is, whatever level you're taking it to. You need to keep that bar close and low to your body. Now in kiteboarding or wakeboarding, there are two different approaches. So there's the heel side approach and the toe side approach. And the rail is always set up downwind, usually anywhere from like 45 degrees, and it's kind of debatable what the optimal setting is and how downwind you set the rail. Depends on what rider you ask, so we won't go into that. So if the rail is set to the left on the downwind tack, and you're doing your left-hand tack and you're a regular foot rider, meaning you like to have your left foot forward, that's a heel side hit. If you were to hit that with your right foot forward, that would be toe side. And the same thing applies on your right-hand tack. The rail will be set downwind, off to the right at kind of a 45-degree angle. If you're goofy foot, this would be your heel side hit. And if you're regular foot, then this is going to be a toe side hit for you. So if you're coming into this on your switch tack, meaning the direction that you're not as comfortable doing tricks on, what you can do is you can actually hit the feature toe side. So with this, what you'll want to do for that first hit is, I like to stay hooked in, and then just, depending on the wind speed, you can pop a little ways out from the feature so that you land in your toe side, unhook, set the kite just like you were doing on that first heel side hit, and then from there, everything is the same that we just covered. I personally find that it's easier to stay hooked in while I'm popping the toe side, and then unhook immediately, keeping that nice moderate edge to keep my kite under control. So one thing you do have to learn is you have to ebb and flow with the wind. So sometimes you're gonna hit that feature and there might not be enough power, and you're just gonna slowly ride up it. And when this happens, just get goofy with it. Whether you just slowly grind across it, try some different switch ups, or just get across the feature and deal with it. It is what it is. If the wind is getting lighter, I find that it helps to unhook a bit later and keep as much speed as you can. So if you're building a lot of speed right up into the feature, you can come into that feature with more board speed rather than giving yourself a lot of downwind. And when the wind is stronger, I find that if I start with a bit more room and then ride straight downwind, I can actually take a lot of power out of the board and kind of slow my speed down so I can hit the feature with more control. And then from there, you just got to roll the punches. If a gust comes, use the safety as a kicker and just ollie right over the feature, or just grease the rail super fast, keep control, and do what you can to just stay focused and complete the trick. So with all that said, let's just talk about the common mistakes. So some of the most common mistakes that I see are looking where you don't want to go. And this is probably the most common thing that happened to me when I was learning, is when you get on the feature, you're like, oh, I don't want to fall off onto this side of the feature and get slammed into it. If you just keep your eye on the end of the rail, the body is going to go where the eyes are looking most of the time. The second most common mistake I see is people just letting that bar get away from them. You need to keep that bar really close to your lead hip so you have a good center of gravity and you're not just going to get stretched out or pulled on your face or have the kite rip out of your hands. You want to keep it close. So that's it for this week. If you guys found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.